Well, howdy there, folks. James, Political Friar, coming to you again. Sorry for the long layoff. I had a new job that I'm getting used to the schedule on, and then I tore myself up trying to be a athlete at the age of almost 40, and that was a bad mistake. So, between the pain and the scrapes and the hours of work at new firm, I've just been a little distracted. But I've got the Baylor Law hat on today, and so we're going to talk about a legal topic, and it's one that isn't at all surprising, but is still notable and worthy of talking about, if briefly, because it was expected. See, the D.C. Circuit Court yesterday handed down an opinion saying that Donald Trump is not immune from criminal prosecution by virtue of having been a president of the United States. So we've done videos on this in the past, and presidential immunity, to wit, is a idea that flowed out of really the founders, that the president should be not concerned by civil suits that might be brought against him for things that were part of his job. So that is to say, if he's doing his job, he can't be sued for things. And this doctrine has been developed through Nixon and Clinton cases in particular, saying that yes, as long as the president is within the outer limits, or outer perimeter, that's the term of art, of his job, he's not subject to civil liability for that. And he is eh, subject to civil liability if he does something that's outside the outer limits of the job. That's why Clinton was subject to civil liability against Paula Jones. So what Donald Trump proposed to do was to massively expand this privilege into the criminal sphere. And the trial judge in the DC case that Donald Trump has put this forward, this is all stemming from the case in Washington D.C. where Jack Smith has accused Donald Trump of attempting to commit fraud on the United States. That's the primary charge: is conspiracy to commit fraud on the United States by working through illegal means to overturn the 2020 election. Let's all put a little note in. Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. He has lied about losing the 2020 election since he lost the 2020 election, and he still does every day. He lost, he lost, he lost. He tried every legal means to have those results overturned, and he failed, he failed, he failed. And the reason why he failed is because he lost. The legal system actually works. And then he allegedly tried to do some extra legal things. And Jack Smith has now charged him with those alleged extra legal things, and Donald Trump has forwarded a defense that says, no, 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 much like presidents are immune from civil suits, they're immune from criminal liability. This is and has been a laughing argument. No one has ever had the gall to forward it before Donald Trump. But, the man has no shame, so why not? And predictably, the trial judge said, no, laughing, no. And the three DC appeals court judges who have looked at this have also said, no, that's not how this works. And in a very extensive and carefully written opinion, the appeals court shut it down, and didn't shut it down in any uncertain terms. Indeed, they actually seem to draw a little bit of a different line closer in to finding liability for criminal acts than civil. So the line in civil acts is the president is immune up to the outer perimeter of his job. The DC Circuit didn't buy that line. The DC Circuit actually says no. If there is criminal behavior on the part of the president, he can't do that, even as part of his job. And that's the rule that the DC Circuit Court has announced. Now, this circuit court is really the first appellate court that's ever been asked this. No one has in the past has ever thought to say, well, can the president commit crimes? No, no. That type of imperial immunity was left in the dustbin of history when we kicked George III out. This is a fundamentally un-American concept that an executive is immune through some kind of sovereign immunity. It is deeply un-American to think that that could possibly be. It is a slide into the very kind of sort of authoritarian tendencies that many Democrats are fearful of. And the very fact that Donald Trump would forward this argument gives some ammunition to those Democrats who are worried that the man is lawless. Well, he is lawless. He is pure ambition. And I don't think he believed he was going to win this argument either. He knows the score. The point was never to win this argument. The point was to delay the trial. And in that, Donald Trump was successful. Donald Trump got a unfavorable ruling at the trial court. Duh. He got an even more unfavorable ruling at the appellate court. Duh. He's going to wait out the maximum amount of time he can before filing an appeal with the DC Circuit again to have the ruling reviewed by the entire court. That's what's called an en banc review. So at this point, only a 3-judge panel has reviewed it. There are other judges on the DC Circuit Court, and if the DC Circuit Court chose to, they could have all those other judges go through another round of review, and then he'll appeal it to the Supreme Court. Now, the en banc appeal and the Supreme Court appeal are not things that Donald Trump gets by right. His first appeal must be responded to. The DC Circuit doesn't have to do the en banc review. The Supreme Court doesn't have to do the review either. And it would surprise me if the Ninth Circuit Court wanted to write on this en banc, and it would surprise me if the Supreme Court didn't want to write on this. Now, I do imagine that you will get a very similar result throughout the process, but that, again, isn't the point. Donald Trump isn't trying to win in court. He can't win in court, not on this legal argument. It sucks. He can win at the ballot box, and the only way he gets to win at the ballot box is if he makes it to the ballot box, and so it's delay. Delay is the only tactic that Donald Trump is going for at this point. Every little thing that he can put up in front of the administration of justice is going to be what he does. He'll do everything. You will see frivolous motions. You will see extended breaks. You will see requests for more time to file. You're going to see all kinds of stuff that in normal litigation is kind of granted pro forma, and in this litigation is obviously a delay tactic. And these delay tactics, if the judge sniffs them out, can be the basis for sanctions. They can be the basis for contempt charges. They can be the basis for time in jail. But the chances of that judge having the temerity to do it, and then that just sets another round of appeals, this is something where Donald Trump is confident that he can escape justice by being reelected president and then just shutting it all down. The sad fact is he might be able to. You start looking at the calendar and you realize that at this point, you got 90 days to appeal to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's, even though they expedite it, is still going to take 60 days. So what? 90 days brings us into March, April, May. The Supreme Court maybe reviews this and we get to June, July, get a decision maybe at the end of this court's term, which was midsummer. I mean, that's possible. And then you have to have a trial. It goes back down to the trial court level, and you're going to end up having all of the pretrial litigation having been put on pause throughout this time. So that's going to take at least another 60 or so days. So you've got August, September. You might have him going to trial in October, right before the election. And you might have him being convicted days before the election. What an October surprise that would be. At that point, though, we're in a race. And if he can delay it another week or 2 weeks and he wins the election, well, he could still be convicted after winning the election. He could be a convicted felon, convicted on charges of defrauding the United States by trying to steal a democratically proper election. And then he could take office on January 20th. I mean, this is the stuff that gets put into bad movies, but it's not impossible. Anyway, it's just a thought. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments down below. Give me a like. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I really appreciate you. Thanks.